What's up, everybody? I'm here with Thomas Rudy today, the co-founder of DataShopper. And today we're going to be picking his brain on how they scaled their product. You're going to learn a little bit about Thomas. We're going to ask him 10 questions in the next 20 minutes. This is part 3 of a 10-part series that I'm doing where I'm talking to 10 Shopify app founders on how they scaled past their first million and all the challenges they faced during that time. And so, yeah, let's just dive right in. Thomas, really great to have you. Please feel free to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about yourself briefly before we dive right into the questions.
Cool. Yeah, I'll be quick because I know we only have about 20 minutes or so. So Thomas Rudy, founder of DataShopper. I've had a long career, honestly, overlapping with some of the stuff Tameem does now in SEO and performance marketing. I got some prominent notes. I was GM of reviews.com on both content and technology. Ran a performance marketing agency called 1027 for almost a decade. That got acquired a few years ago, and we primarily focused in the financial services industry, doing SEO, paid arbitrage, pretty much anything that you can do to garnish affiliate revenue. Syndication was another big channel, and I also have a software background, so I guess worked with a bunch of different startups, done a million different products, but maybe most like prominently, at least from a resume perspective, was software developer at Microsoft for just under 2 years. So all of that kind of culminated rather into building and producing DataShopper, the performance side of my experience and also the software side of my experience. And we have been running it. I mean, we're like full steam ahead, doing some damage. It's been exciting, but I think still a lot of things to figure out still. So cool stuff.
That's fair enough. Thanks for that intro. There's a lot to extract here, guys. Lock in. We're about to ask some important questions, and hopefully you guys get some gold nuggets from it. So the first question, Thomas, what pain or gap did you see in the space that made you build DataShopper in the first place? What was the spark?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest things is, there's a few companies like ours, some prominent ones, a lot of like other smaller players. But one of the biggest things is there's not really an actionable item that you can take from this data. So a lot of people just like give you data and there's really like nothing to do with it. So unless you're working with like an enterprise client or somebody that is really savvy on their marketing team, it's like you get the data and then you're like, I don't know what I should do with this data. So we've built in a lot of automations and different like components to our software that help actually action on the data without it being a huge. The first of that was direct mail. It's kind of like the easiest one actually, and actually really where the product started in all direct mail, and then furthering down that line, doing things with like email automations, programmatic retargeting, pushing things to different ESPs, CRMs, DSPs. All of that has been, like the focus of what we've been building into lately. But I did see like a big gap on, okay, there's a million different data sources out there. But, people are like, oh, cool, we have this data and it's a gold mine. But like any other form of marketing, there's still some work to do behind it and trying to figure out the way to automate some of that work while still retaining like a lot of the quality. I think we're in a really good sweet spot for doing that. Obviously given like all the tools that are coming out that you can use. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest gap that we've seen. And then I think maybe like a smaller one is there's a lot of providers that do a certain thing like B2B or B2C, or they only work with e-commerce, or they only work with, or, they only send mail. So we rolled that all up into one offering where you essentially get the entire, like playbook for B2B, B2C, direct mail. It doesn't really matter the business type. We can provide all the data without charging somebody more, without, compartmentalizing what offerings they get. It just all comes all one giant data feed, and all the offerings that we have under our tool belt is available to basically any of our subscribers.
I see. So there's no specific customer that you are serving. It's like it's an all-in-one platform for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge mixed bag of customer types. There's like home service, e-commerce, tech companies, agencies. Our entire platform can be white labeled. Given our background and Matt's background, who you connected with, we're heavy into the financial services and fintech groups. So we have a lot of like financial media companies or fintech products. One of the biggest brokerages in the United States is on our platform. So it's definitely a mixed bag, which for that's for better or worse for the time being. I'm not entirely sure. We may want to like dive in and specialize somewhere. But right now it's almost like a complete mixed bag of industry and business type.
Sounds good. That sounds like a pretty solid portfolio. Oh, that's where you are now, but I'm wondering if you were building something for like sort of a whole array of customers, and did that make marketing harder in the beginning when you were trying to get to your first 100 users, let's say?
You mean like marketing for our onboarding customers for ourselves or for them?
You for you. So acquiring customers for DataShopper.
I wouldn't say so. No, I think, you know what? It's kind of funny is I don't even think we've really even started marketing yet. So maybe I'll revise that. But I think we've done a pretty good job just like laying out our offering. Done a ton on X. We've done a ton with cold email. We've done ads too, which we're in the process of revitalizing. So I don't know if it has, but I mean, there's certainly companies that are further along than us. So I mean, like, sure, potentially you can always do better.
I see.
I think we're at the stage now where we're building based on client feedback and client requests. So it's almost like an incubation stage, if you will, where we don't know where the product will. I mean, we have an idea, but we don't know where the product will be in a year from now because we're really pivoting, or building based on what the client's asking for and what's working.
I see. When you're talking about the channel, so you said it was really X, cold email. Was there a third you mentioned in there?
Yeah, ads. I mean, like referrals. We get a lot
Ads.
of referrals.
What was like yeah, please.
Actually, ironically, running an SEO agency for quite a while, we haven't even started that yet. So that something that
Yeah.
we like really dive into as time. We're about to launch a new marketing site that's been slightly delayed. It's one of those things where you got to take care of everybody else before yourself, but
Yeah.
that'll be a
Well
good.
well, if you guys are looking for an extension, I think I might know somebody, so
Yeah.
okay.
Well, that's
So,
great.
sorry?
I was gonna say the case studies look good on your homepage. I was impressed.
Yeah, appreciate it, bro. Definitely down to talk about it. But okay, so I'm trying to like make it a little more actionable for the viewers here. So when you say X cold email ads, was it all together? Did you start with cold email first and then move X and then ads as you scaled? What was sort of the strategy there? Ratio, or how did you disperse those channels?
Yeah, I mean, at first, honestly, I think this is what I always do when I'm going out into like offering a new product is I kind of just like look through my connections and see where the people that I know may have an intro for me or even their own company. Like if it's a fit where you can say, hey, you want to try this? Like I usually start there. So just like asking for referrals or going into my network where people I've worked with before, especially if I've worked with them in some sort of successful campaign before. So it probably started with that, like hitting the immediate network that you know. And then honestly, Matt has done a phenomenal job on X, just driving visibility for us and getting, we get a pretty good amount of lead volume from that, both like through the X platform and through just, the website, people booking demos. And then, like cold email, we've done sort of like a personalized approach and a mass approach. They've both worked to varying degrees. The personalized approach, I think, has worked better so far, which is kind of obvious. And then ads is probably like a smaller component to it. So X and like organic outreach, probably like 40% cold email. And I would say like personalized cold email, especially in your own network, probably another 40%. And then ads is that last little bit. But I think we're going to probably stagger that as we're starting to scale now and probably do more ads. We just did like the Twitter verified org thing. So some of that's being worked out in the next few weeks. I think like June 1, we'll probably start really scaling and putting like an honest budget behind it. We've only spent like $3,000 to $5,000 a month so far.
Sounds good. Sounded like Matt was really taking over the Twitter there. So Matt's your co-founder, correct?
Yeah, he's like a co-founder slash partner. I mean, he came in later, but he likes that co-founder title. So we let him run with it.
Cool. So could you speak a little bit about your experience with the co-founder? Is it better than going solo? And then do you have any tips on picking the right co-founder?
Yeah, that's a great question. You can definitely pick the wrong one. Gosh, we're going to get into weeds that I don't really want to get into. I will say this:
Oh, getting to all of it, man. That's what the podcast's for.
Matt has been excellent to work with. I mean, he's probably like top 5% globally of people that can help like originate and make connections. I mean, I had another venture that I wanted to get off the ground that actually probably would have died quickly with how AI quickly came about. Working with that partner was a complete disaster. I don't necessarily have a playbook for working with the right partner. I think maybe just like don't jump into things too quickly. Make sure that there's value there before you're like, it all sounds good when there's nothing on the table and yeah, let's split it 50-50. Like people do it all the time. Like I think that's a bad idea. I think like let things shake out and see who's willing to put in time and see who's willing to put in money. And then you can kind of like have an organic, true conversation there and definitely have an agreement in place. But picking a
I see.
partner is
So
really difficult. It's honestly like I tend to not like having partners, if I'm being honest. But Matt's an exception to that.
it's funny. I feel like if I had a partner, because I had this best friend who I initially wanted to start the marketing agency with, but he went down a different route, like nearby, like around biotech. If I had a partner, I feel like we would have scaled even faster because I feel like I do sales. I'm good at SEO, but if you ask me what I truly enjoyed, okay, I actually enjoy SEO strategy, but that's about all I enjoyed after that. I started as a content writer, but then when it comes to like actual production, now I've trained like a lot of really good people on it, but I feel like we definitely scale faster as well. But in general, yeah, I think I do work better alone. So yeah, that's a good point. How big is your team other than you and Matt?
We have about 20 people collectively. Some of those are contractors. I think like the core group is about 12 right now. So most of those are salespeople. We have engineers. I actually just hired our director of operations who was at my previous agency, kind of like waiting for the right time to bring her on. Just hired a designer too. Like a lot of the, just like me, I don't even want to say menial, but a lot of like the tedious work of designing like postcards, for instance, was getting like a bottleneck, I would say. So it's still like a pretty lean team, but I think we're like, we want to make this team, I would say, more sales heavy and lean in on the software as much as possible to do the heavy lifting for, like for fulfillment of, like whatever the client's expectations are.
Mm.
So I want to keep it lean. I want to grow basically like a sales team and have maybe like a client support person for every X amount of revenue, which we have two of those right now too. But so I think we're still figuring that out. This is my first, I mean, I have like another smaller SaaS business that's basically like a hosting business, but this is my first real like step into a SaaS business that's getting significant traction. So there's so many answers I don't have yet. I'm just being honest, like we don't know.
Yeah. When you talk about your team and who you've hired so far, for founders watching who are in that stage right now where they're hiring, who was your first hire? What sort of tips do you have for hiring the right people? And how do you figure out who to hire first? And then where do you find the talent? Do you have any platforms or marketplaces or job sites you recommend?
Yeah. I mean, first hire was engineer. So although I have an engineering background, I wanted to try my best to never write a line of code again. Um, and obviously we needed to like build and support the product. So that was the
You didn't
first.
enjoy coding or
No, I really don't. I mean, I do when it's like an exercise of fun, but for like sitting there 8 hours a day, if not more, and coding, just I can't do it. Especially like when you're in a founder mode and you're doing sales and you're hiring and all that. It's not, I don't think it's realistic. Maybe it is, but not for me. So hiring too, I mean, I've done a really good job of probably like hiring overseas talent on Upwork, but in the States, I mean, we get a lot of referrals, people that I've worked with in the past because I ran another business for a long time. I mean, I've had some success with Indeed posts. I think maybe my biggest tip for hiring is like, don't jump the gun on people that have super fancy resumes. Like make sure that people are going to grind and get after it. And if you're a company, in our stage where we've found some traction, but still have a long way to go, like, prioritize people that want to grow with you rather than, I'll give you an example. I interviewed a sales guy the other day and he's like, I want 150K base and X amount of salary. And I'm just like, we're not that company. We're not like a Salesforce mid-level sales guy. Uh, so,
yeah.
so just like the people that want to grind that can actually like back up their work. And if it makes sense, depending on the role, like give them a test project, even if it's paid, make sure that they can fulfill the work that they say that they can do. But hiring's hard too, man. Hiring might be the hardest part. You'll find winners and losers and you gotta like really trim the fat, especially early on. Make sure that you're not like spending not only money, but like your time working with people that are not helping you move the needle. So
Mm.
you gotta kind of be like ruthless about it.
Yeah. Okay. And how did you approach pricing?
Yeah, we've approached it a few different ways now. So obviously with data, the common model is just like a scale thing. It's kind of like, I mean, it's kind of like, on HubSpot, you get X amount of contacts for X price and it scales economically as you go up. So ours does the same thing. I think one thing that we did that was more nuanced is we allow groups to set a daily budget, kind of like Meta and or, any ad platform. You can set $100 daily budget and then the like the collection of data and or the fulfillment of that data will turn off after it meets that budget. But we've already changed pricing a few times, and I think we're going to change it again here pretty soon. Or maybe not change it, but we're rolling out another plan or performance plan where we're allowing people to consume unlimited data, and then have a performance kicker on the success of that data. So it would be like what you would otherwise spend, high five figures on per month, you're getting for, basically like a nominal retainer. And then there's some sort of like success metric baked into it. So for instance, like a Shopify store that, has 1 million uniques a month, you're spending, what is otherwise like a negligible retainer. And then on the success of that data, like we negotiate some sort of performance kicker, whether it's a commission or whatever it is, sale of the lifetime value of the SaaS product. It just kind of depends. So I'm pretty bullish on that model because that's where I come from, like the reviews.com, the financial service affiliate stuff. I like that because it scales with essentially less clients, and if there's a win-win in place, the idea is that you have a little bit more of a moat and you can retain those clients longer. Obviously, there's some challenges to that. We're not rolling that out to everyone. There needs to be like very clear and transparent attribution. But I am excited about that because it's pretty replicable. And I think we've signed like 4 in the past 4 days to do that. And we have a bunch in the hopper that I think are going to close as well.
Mm.
But pricing, it might evolve again. We've changed pricing, literally like 5 times so far.
What's triggering it? Is it just like you being, like you said, experimentational, or is there more of a calculated process behind it?
Well, I have a theory that data is going to become ubiquitous across. I think data is just going to be available to many more people as time goes on. So I don't think like having data is going to be it's already happening. There's going to be zero moat with having data. So I think being able to action and show the performance of that data is going to be more important. And that's already the case. You'll see folks on like RB2B, for example, they're like, yeah, I have all this data, but I have no idea what to do with it. So, you need to put things in place in order to make sure that it's worthwhile to subscribe to. And my background is like, okay, like turn it into a performance model. So that's one reason. I think another reason too is just like figuring out, like we've changed things based on like how much we want to give up for sales commission or how much margin we want baked in early versus
Yeah,
later on.
that's fair. Yeah.
So some of those like early things we made mistakes on, especially print. Like print is wildly variable depending on the volume and or the type of essentially like print collateral they're sending.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's evolved pretty quickly. But I think we got some things right with like the daily budget allotment. So we'll see. And I think we're really onto something with the performance deals. I think those are some things where we can easily scale into, clients that are routinely spending 50 grand a month and happy about it because it's all performance based.
Cool. We're nearing the end. I just have a couple more questions, and I ask this one near the end all the time to every founder that's been on. What was your lucky break? I feel like every founder has one. What would you say yours was?
It's a good question. I'm gonna rewind like over a decade ago. I was sitting at a pub with a friend at the time. I got this phone call from this guy that I know who I knew had moved out to Seattle. And I was like, I bet you this guy offers me a job. And I was literally just sitting there drinking a beer. And he did. He offered me a job. And, this was like 2014. Basically, I don't think I was qualified for the role. Or, maybe I had like the aptitude for it, but I don't know. I didn't have like the specs for it. Offered me a job and moved out to Seattle and, worked with reviews.com. I mentioned at the onset of this podcast. And I think that really like connected me to like a higher level of people. Like the group that I was working with was really just like another echelon essentially. And I performed, right? And then I took a lot of the learnings from that across the board, not just like how we were, like what we were doing, but the people involved in the company. So he kind of gave me like a lucky break, just maybe offering me something that I wasn't necessarily qualified for. And I took a lot of that, which, I was able to like build into success into other companies.
Yeah. It's a good question to remind you that, hard work and perseverance gets you really far, and they matter, but not everything will be in your control, and some things sometimes align perfectly and bring you to the position you're in now. So it's a good reminder to have. And it also reminds you that even if it is luck, you still chose to take advantage of that opportunity. No one put a gun to your head to do that. So that was an active decision you made. So you took the opportunity. You made the decision to take advantage of that luck. Definitely
Yeah.
important as well.
Yeah. I'm waiting for my next one too. So I'll let you know when the next one rolls around, the next big break.
Let me know. Um, Thomas, I have one more, and that's what would you say to a founder building their first app today? They're watching you right now. If you had to leave them with something, what would you leave them with? Actually, I'm gonna amend this because I just saw a Hormozy podcast yesterday, And the dude asked it in a very interesting way. I want to ask you the same way. He asked it in this way. He asked it, if you deleted all your content online and all your presence online and you had to leave the internet with one message and that's it, what would you leave the internet with?
That's a very different question. Mine would, I don't know what your audience age type is like, but mine's just going to be I love my kids. That's why I was so hesitant to join X in the first place. I don't want to make my footprint about business, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think your other question, like what advice would I give to like a new founder?
Mhm.
I would say like pre-sell as much as possible. And or if you're building something, like let's pretend you're building, I don't know, any sort of app, like approach a company and offer to build it for them at a massive discount. So you're getting a customer and you're getting some revenue in the door while you're validating your product. And then you can take that product and sell it to, however many other people. I think a lot of people just like build a product and then maybe the product that they built doesn't solve anything, or maybe they just have no channels to market to it. So if you have like, a couple pre-sales, or if you approach whatever company and say, hey, if I built you this, is this worth $1,500 a month for me to build it out for you? Or whatever it is, like whatever the pricing is that makes sense to get them to bite. I think that that's a good way to start things too. So you're not, starting from zero and spending 6 months building something.
That's definitely really good advice because I feel like I haven't heard that very often. It's always build or just start building and then, and then find customers or whatnot. And while that might have its merits in some situations, I think I really like what you said there. I think that you're quite literally identifying a problem and you're not just identifying it with like third party surveys or online research. You've talked to an actual company. They've told you that this is a real problem. You've agreed and they've agreed to pay you. So there's clearly an indication of value. There's an indication of value exchange. Then you prove yourself. Once you get that case study and then the ball rolling, now you have such a more powerful launch pad than building a product for 6 months and then starting marketing with your dick in your hand.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you an example. I have one right now. If anyone's building scheduling software, I know a founder in the healthcare space would that wants to build a niche scheduling software for their business. It's a pretty large medical business that has 9 different locations, and also the ambition would be to take this scheduling software and package it up and build it sell it to all the other companies in this space, because there's not necessarily like a nuanced specific solution for it. And I know that person would probably spend $3,000 to $5,000 a month funding somebody to build it and then maybe partner with them. So there's all kinds of opportunities like that where you can get some cash flow in and again, like not spend 9 months and then launch and be like, oh shit, I don't have a single subscriber.
You couldn't have thrown a bigger gold nugget for the viewers because not only did you just give them that advice, but you also just gave them a guys. That's Thomas Rudy on Twitter. If you guys are interested in that opportunity, is it or did I get it wrong?
Yeah, Thomas Rudy 27. Yeah, and if anyone's building scheduling software, hit me up. I have a huge lead for it.
Where else can they find you?
I'm on LinkedIn. I don't really post much there. I mean, like business wise,
Sorry.
yeah.
So you know Chuck Moxley. You know him, or is that just like a random mutual?
I don't know. Chuck Moxley?
He just came up in the small mutuals thing. I know him because he was a previous client, but he's a fractional CMO. He's currently at Blue Triangle, I think. Which actually I think does somewhat of a similar thing that you guys do, but maybe it's like a one feature or something.
Yeah, I don't know if I know this guy. I mean, we get like tons of requests on LinkedIn. I generally am nice and just accept everyone.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm on Twitter.
Yeah. All right, Thomas. Yeah. Well, thank you for taking the time. I know you have to go, so I won't keep you any longer. Yeah. So we'll keep in touch. Do one thing I also have been asking lately is like, do you nominate anybody else to come on the podcast, share their experience, and just share with people value and anything like that? Do you have anyone that you think would be a good fit next?
Yeah. Do you know Arjun from Dula?
Arjun. How do you spell his name?
I'll chat his LinkedIn here. Arjun. He's a good podcast guy to have on.
ARJU1.
Pretty interesting. He built a pretty interesting business through Y Combinator. And actually, we ran his SEO for a while. Maybe you guys would jam, but
Okay.
he loves
Arjun.
doing podcasts. I can
Nice
trade
talk.
him.
Where did you send me? Oh, okay. This chat. Got it. Cool. All right, guys. Well, the next guest may very well be Arjun. Thanks to Thomas. All right, cool, man. I won't keep you any longer. I'll let you know when it's up. I'll send you the video. Yeah, we'll stay in touch. Cheers. And yeah, please let me know if